worry about that to YouTube viewers. Maybe there ain't nobody, but hey, I look past that because I know that there's beyond what I'm seeing. Okay, now let's see. That was Mercury. Mercury is 114,759,974.2 kilometers, 0.92 kilometers. So 71,323,788.202 miles from Earth. Let's go Venus. Okay. Okay, how far is Venus? The distance of Venus from Earth is currently 248,274,150.7 kilometers, which is 154,303,387.64 miles, equivalent to 1.65696 astronomical units. Am I missing any? I think it's a good idea. Okay. Now, various flat Earth or alternate theories suggest heights of 72 miles, not should be 90 miles or similar, low Earth orbit. Okay, well, the other part, like it was saying, the distance from the Earth to the firmament. So whether it's round or whether you perceive it to be round Earth or flat Earth, would it not still be the same distance from the Earth? No matter where you were in the Earth, if the Earth is a sphere. But it is. Oh. Okay, I'm going to give you a theory. Say in outer space, and they show the picture of the Earth. Okay, you can see all the water and all the clouds and everything like that, right? Have you ever been up in a plane? Because if you look down out the window, like even on a clear day, like, you don't really see a whole lot until you get closer. But when you're out further away, even if you take a camera and you try zooming down as far as you're zooming, you're still not getting that clear picture. While you're going up, you can see the different how they have it. It's like in sections. Like when you look on your map there, like the ground, it looks like it is sectioned off. It looks like there are actual lines going through the properties. I actually seen it when I went up about 1,200 feet in a plane, little two, 4-person plane. Let me tell you, it was fucking a rough ride. And it was fucking noisy too, but it was cool to watch because it actually looked like a fucking. In places, it looked like a painting, like where you got like the speckle coming up. Or similar to low Earth orbit altitude. Space shuttles can operate within the ionosphere layer of the Earth's atmosphere, which is located between 880 to 550 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Anybody else catch that? The space shuttle can go up to 550. Oh, sorry, 550 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Now, have a gander at this. Okay. So this is This is the Earth. Okay. So this is your airplane sky. Sort of. Okay. Well, like certain. Okay. So this is the Earth. Forget this part because this is a different Earth, different part to the Earth. Okay. So you have here, and I said, the ships can come off and they go in the water and under. Okay, so this here is the water. Okay. And then here, what they're talking about, 550 kilometers up, that's the shield. So the shield, that gives two reflections. Okay, so when I say two reflections, okay, is that how on each side of the Earth perceives the moon is showing on one side and the sun is showing on the other? Because you have the two, you take two lenses. Okay, you have progressives. One just magnifies it a little bit. But if you get that, like you actually, like if you have the wrong lens, it's distorted. And how I know that is because 5 times I went into the eyeglass place because I kept getting my glasses and it was distorted. Like I was walking, no more. I was walking through the store like this because it just felt like everything was moving on. It was a distortion. Okay, everything was doubling. So I kept telling them, no, like my glasses aren't right. Well, it's the right prescription. Like, no, it's not. And then I kept going in saying the problem child's back, but I wasn't the fucking problem. They were. Because I ended up going to another eyeglass place and they took my glasses in. I told them what my prescription's supposed to be. And they took them in and checked the lenses. And sure enough, I was the one that was right. It was off by a lot. Okay. So here and the shield, and then it would arc. That's when it would come down. So it would come back down to the Earth, right? It wouldn't go to the other side. But you say it went in that spot. Okay, I understand because I get you laughing. But did you hear the rest? Of course not. Maybe you just came in. But the shield, and then the firmament. So as far as trying to get to the moon, the reason why you get cut off is because you can't get to the moon. You're already on the moon. Because the moon is nothing but a reflection of the Earth. And people can laugh, but hey, ask those questions yourself. But of course, you won't do that because it's easier to just go with the narrative because then you're not making waves. And as far as making waves, I also found out that the dams are what's affecting the waters most, not the moon. Maybe the moon is the cop out to what they're really doing. And as far as the axles, well, you take two ships, just like I have here. And if they're if they're spinning in different directions, rotating in different directions, it will create that axle effect. You take two toppers, you spin opposite direction. What happens if two ships are above one another and spinning in opposite directions? The two ships are stacked vertically and spinning in opposite directions. The interaction is largely governed by aerodynamics, if in air, or hydrodynamics, if in water, rather than just simple mechanics. Here's what happens based on physical principle. Opposing Megas effect, if moving through fluid, a spinning object moving through a fluid, air, water, creates a perpendicular force known as Megas effect. Because the ships are spinning in opposite directions, their Megas force will act in opposite direction if they are stacked vertically. The top ship's Megas force might push it left, while the bottom one is pushed right. You know, vibrate, creating a shear force between them. Vertically, okay. Creating a shear force between them that could introduce instability. What? What is that? If you're new to my channel, go read the description of my YouTube channel, Spirit Teachers of Going Within Self, and you might have a pretty good idea. It's all about, like, what do you think of the aerodynamics coupling if spinning rapidly. If these are spinning rapidly, spinning objects like propellers or rotors, counter-rotating stack, or coaxial, there can be, or they can form a system where the top ship's wake affects the bottom. In a hovering situation, the top ship's downward wake, downwash, would hit the bottom ship, introducing the lift efficiency of the lower ship. Okay, now, as I explained, okay, you see a lot of the Earth breaking up. Okay, what areas is it breaking up? Does it seem like it's more situated kind of in the core? You say the magma. Where does the magma comes from? Deep in, right? Okay, the sun. that loving lava. It's shifting, it's agitated, right? So the ships are shifting. Hence the shift is causing a lot of disruption. It's breaking the dams, and that's where the flooding. It's not because of the fucking rain. It's because of all the dams they built, and they're fucking breaking. The dam is breaking. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down. London Bridge is the bridge between both fucking ships. What is your water? Better go get the therapist now. So you'll figure that I need help because I've allowed spirit as the fucking channel, and it's not fucking easy. You're told you're crazy and everything like that. Meanwhile, can you observe? You got fucking eyes to see. I don't learn the languages anywhere. I'm saying you're not stupid. I'm saying you're blinded to the fucking truth. And even the fucking truth was right in front of your face, you'd still fucking deny it. Torque balancing, gyroscopic interaction. If the ships are large and act as geoscoops, their opposing rotation direction, counter-rotating, mean their total angular momentum is canceled out. This would make the stack more stable against unintended steady tunes or wobbles compared to single spinning ship. So they're in the core, they're shifting, okay? They're disconnecting. Okay, you take two. If you're Navy or you've been out on a ship and they got to bring fuel to you, they hook up, right? And then they have to unhook. Interaction. If on water, this is the water one. If these are ships on water, the spinning motion, assuming they are in contact or very close, create a complex boundary layer, causing intense fluid shear, turbulating mixing, and potentially instead as counter-rotating adjusted surface often lead to high turbulence rather than smooth flow. So if I said like we're in the shield and just above there's the water, and that's where the ships travel through. But then they come up through and they travel like inner when you have the water, you say like it comes up because perceived, right? So it comes up. And that's why you're seeing them like they're coming up out of your water. But some people are seeing that it's like they're coming down from the sky. It's because they're coming out of peripheral vision and the illusion. Like it's the round, the firmament. So there's the firmament here. It's like you're in outer space, water, or what have you. In here, in the core. But then it's another ship below that. That's why you would get the perception of, like the flood. You said it was like it come out of the sky. Well, that's the core open. It's like it's shifting, and the water is flooding down. It's much like it's the water's being going down a drain. In summary, the opposing spins would create opposition, lift drag forces, cancel out the need, the net for a subject, torque increasing stability, and if it closes proximity, if in close proximity result in a high turbulent shear zone between them. So it was like the ships were in autopilot. Okay, so in autopilot, it was much like they'd be in almost like extended in space in one place. So when you see this here, I'm not a flat earth and I'm not a round earth. I just told you what spirit showed me. So when you look at the big map that they give you with this, and you have in an ice wall, well, the ice wall is like what you could describe as sort of almost like a firmament. It's firmament. It's all around, but there's those two openings where they can get in and out of the firmament and go to. They're just doing they're keeping you distracted by showing you, oh, we're putting a spaceship, we're putting a spaceship up there. They're not going to show you how they're doing it. They're going to go out the sides of the earth through the core. Look on as if you know what you perceive the ice wall, and you look and you have the two sides. You say, look at North and South Pole. Are the two of you distracted as if it's North and South Pole, or are they showing you that it goes in those two directions? So does it go side to side, or up and down, as above, so below? So to be on the perceived Earth, then they have to come in from inner Earth up, or up through the center through the perceived water, and then if they're going outward, well, they're not going to go up on the surface for you to see. They're not going to go where you can see. They're going to go out from where you can't see. So people say Oh, well, they're bringing out the UFO files and stuff like that. They've been doing that for fucking years. You just haven't been paying attention. It's, another form of distraction to keep people from not seeing what's really going on. See no evil, hear no evil. They are actually taking beings and other humanoids from other planetary planets. They're telling you, like, probably telling you all this other stuff. But sorry, you call me what you will, but just remember, you're the one that's going to look in the mirror every day. My whole life I've had people tell me that I was stupid and an idiot and this and that. But with all due respect, I know I'm not, and I know I never was. Nor were you when you started out either. Science learning book. Reflection of light. Reflection is when light bounces off an object. Showing it right there. So you ask yourself, what mirror is the light reflected in? To give that, you know, corner view or what have you. Go look it up yourself, or don't. It's entirely up to yourself. But don't tell me I'm stupid. People say astrology is bogus. Of course, with all due respect, that's how they fucking originally used ships. Navigation. But many of what you perceive to be certain things are actually ships. And those colors you're seeing in the sky and people saying Project Bluebeam, no. It's actually they're trying to get through the firmament. They're trying to get through the force field to come and get their families that were kidnapped and taken. But you won't believe that, right? I just lost everybody there because I'm saying that they're doing this, but I thought they could get in this way. The earth is shifting because that's what you're experiencing. It's hitting. You have a car, right? Okay, you're in the car. You get in an accident, you get hit by another car. What happens? Your body feels it, right? Because the whole car feels it, right? The car is your force field. It's what's between you and the other car, right? Well, that car gets hit, you bounce. So the earth, everything in it shifts. Did you ever watch some of those films where they're doing things in space and they have a picture and the earth, show the earth so pristine? But they say in space you're constantly moving, but yet nothing's moving. And then they're in their ships, or they're in their little spacecraft, right? And they have certain things will show certain things floating around. Okay, but they're not. They're just standing, or they have that perception sometimes like they're floating. Okay, I looked it up, and everything would be floating unless he was actually buckled in and buckled down like even if his feet were tied with a chain. His body would still be floating. He just wouldn't be floating all over. How many of you ever been in one of those silos? I've never been there, but in the silos when they have the wind blowing up and you're floating in the air. There's going to be people that are just so still, hooked on flat Earth and round Earth. And, people say some say the donut, yeah, and it gives the illusion of all the above. Do you know if you stand in one place and you spin around, it's like everything spins with you, right? But we don't notice that spin unless you get vertigo. And vertigo is because you're feeling the word, you're feeling something. something is moving so fast, it can actually appear just like, I was going to say still. How many of you watched the movie Click? Where he gets the clicker, okay? And he starts fast forwarding his time and everything like that. But while he's on fast forward, well, he's moving through everything that he's already. Once he fast forward through one, every situation that was similar to that, it would fast forward through it. Okay, so he'd be moving so fast through time that if he's sitting at the table, he would be much like zombified, much like somebody just took a freaking sleeping pill or their pill. Chissà, eu estou aqui no meio, minha cotovela. It's like every time I kept thinking, no, I'm going off and doing the part two. I'm doing another video. Spirit kept telling me no, and then Spirit sent me a message, a physical message to say, no, keep going. So to the flat earthers and round earthers and the donut people and the cone people who believe that the earth is like that and like a disc, yes, and anyways, it's also a disc. It's like a spiral. You look in the universe. So I'll ask you again, do you really think that the planets are actually round, or is it possible it's trick light? It's like, is there full physical, like in some cases, like in order to leave in outer space, are they saying every planet has a dome over it? Well, they are, right? But yet when you look out in the stars, because I'm going to ask you, okay, is a fire ever a perfect circle? Unless you put it inside of a container. But if the sun is as hot as it says it was, then a glass container will hold. know, just remember, you can take something this small and make it appear that big. Spirit just took me to the series I watched Once Upon a Time, where Regina did the curse and created Storybook. And she had it was a black diamond that kept everything going. It was a small black diamond that kept everything going. And if that diamond got broken, it would destroy the illusion. It would send them back to before the illusion happened. Much like it would send them back to their perceived time. But then there was an episode where they were living in two times at the same time. And then the last season, they were living in two different timelines. Henry was younger, was the younger versions of them, but they were back in time. It's the illusion of taking everything from what you perceive to be ancient into a modern civilization, which we're not in a modern civilization at all. And I'm not insulting the stuff. I'm saying we're not in a modern civilization. Because modern, you wouldn't have to have all the piping and everything. You'd be individually hooked up. You'd be sustaining your own properties. You know how you look and you see a modern, like, okay, you think a modern world is like fucking having piping from house to house connected, and then if one person's fucking shit fucks up, the whole neighborhood gets fucking flooded with species. How is that fucking modern? That sounds like, in some places, and it was in the rich communities and stuff like that, they'd be freaking pouring freaking bacon grease down the drains and screwing up the whole fucking infrastructure of the community. And you call that modern? Somebody does that, and everybody else got to pay the fucking price, right? That's not modern. That's called profitable. I just heard somebody say profitable for you. The people building the infrastructure because then they got to come down and fix it all, right? And it's at your expense. And if you don't have homeowners insurance, then who gets screwed? But you keep saying it's a modern world, and you keep saying that everybody else, they're deluded like this stuff. That's conspiracy theory. Anything that will actually enable your freedom is conspiracy theory. It's like when you step out of that illusion, you start seeing things from perspective. How you sit there and really observe it. Not one going on focusing on somebody else's theory. You're looking at from your perspective. You know, I've learned more by doing these videos in the past 3 years, 3, 4 years, than I have in the more than half a century I've been. And that was because I started looking at things different, seeing from a different perspective, and then actually hearing what everyone's saying in order to figure out. But like I said, I just explained to you that you're all right in a sense, depending on how one's seeing it or being shown. But you weren't shown a different picture. And that's where people don't go look. And some people say, well, I really don't care. Well, good for you. Good for you if you don't care. And those would be the same people that would say, oh, mine's fine, but and I would tell you that I may look like a raging lunatic, but my life is fine. And I'm not ashamed of how I look. And if you're embarrassed for me, don't. Because I know you're only embarrassed for yourself. It's like they tell you to cross reference. I cross reference with spirit. I cross reference with all of you on the platforms, especially on TikTok, because that's where I observe most things. When I go out and I observe people's energies, spirits, because some people don't like to say energy, they're saying energies, but spirit. To the ones that, you say about Holy Spirit, well, Holy Spirit, shit. How can you say about Holy Spirit if you don't understand what Holy Spirit really is and what it's capable of? It's your spirit, it's your heart, it's your mind, it's your body, it's your voice, it's your choice, but you give it away because you're told it's only one way. That makes it easier. So what I brought here, like some people will look into it, and some people won't. Some people already know. But that stuff, it's they're hidden. They're hidden from me. hitting the shield. I was in like a vision. It's like I was asleep, but I was awake at the same time because it was like he was looking up, and it was like a bunch of bubble ships, like something. It's like something walking, and that's what they're trying to get past. People say that it's to hurt us. It's to hurt us. The ones hurting you are already living here with, and those are the ones that you put in charge because you're given a couple people here or there to vote. I was in the car the next day, and we were talking about government and how our premier made cuts to certain things for the people. Well, my opinion is that you know, you got to do it. You want this or that, you got to make cuts. So I was like, go set that, go the fire will get started. Take your fucking stank back. You do it. So I know, like, I feel energy. He's got the stain right now because he wants to start the fire, and I'm still on here. But he was saying about, well, they've got to make a cut somewhere. So I was more of, hey, well, maybe they should take the cut to their raise and give it back to the people because that's what they took the money for in the first place, was to give themselves a raise. So they're going to up the people, take away from the people again so that they can pay for the raise that they gave themselves. And then next year they're going to give themselves another raise and do the same fucking thing. Goddamn fucking thing. You know, believe me, I know how I look, and I'm good with that. You're the one that, like, you're the one that's got the problem with it. So, hey. And then it just got in one massive argument. And yeah, I did in ways I kept some going, but I was commenting to what he was saying because whenever we have what I perceive is supposed to be like conversational, unless it's always those one-sided conversations with people, it was like every time when somebody is having, like, it's always everybody else is allowed to have their opinion, but when somebody else starts to say something with regards to their opinion or comment, they automatically try to shut you off. Okay? And that's what agitates, especially women, because women or feminine energies feel like they're not being heard. But masculines can feel that way too. But sometimes it's because they feel they have the last say, or they're the ones that are right and you're wrong. You have certain files that's going to implicate a lot of people. And then you have them coming in and saying, hey, oh, we're going to tell you, oh, yeah, there's aliens. Well, no fucking go. We already knew that. We don't just want the actors being, arrested. We want the ones who was doing the taking and trapping them to the actors because they were the pimps. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you get people like you prey on people who want things, money, or they're desperate. So it's like an adult feeding a child alcohol. And that's why a lot of uh, criminal activity, they will go and they will get a minor because the minor will get charged. But then the minor, can't get out of it. You did this. But everybody does that to each other at times. That's a form of blackmail, extortion. And I'm going to talk about the criminals. I'm talking about us every day. I don't I don't believe I use names unless I'm talking about the government, and then I'm asking questions. That's why people get irritated because nobody else knows. They don't totally know who you're talking about. The person's the only one, me and the person, or anybody who had known about it. It's weird. So that's why I know that people look at me like I'm right out to lunch, especially with this bringing it forward. But hey, it's the two ships, and they're coming apart, and it's so the moon would be in here, and the sun would be so outside, and then it would reflect in and create a shadow, and it would reflect out depending on where the perceived sun would be. . So is it that this here is a big ball of fire, or is it a reflective mirror that's constantly rotating? That's why, you get the illusion of the moon. It's a rotation of the flat disk. Oh, God damn. Who's thinking, what? That I'm doing all the work. This is no fair. It's like, here, you get over here and make a fucking fool of yourself. What did you say? Muslim petition for I can understand with my family and that sometimes, but hey, you think you be used to it by now, and you shouldn't care. If I don't care, you shouldn't care. What, you get this special needs? And I'm not making fun of people with special needs, because I would be considered someone with special needs, but I don't need anything. Because I know what I'm experiencing. And others, they just need the understanding. Because some of them don't know how to express themselves in a way for it to come out. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning of this with my grandson. He doesn't know how to express his feelings in a verbal way. It's like wanting somebody to know how you're feeling or thinking without them asking. I've asked before, do I think this is a curse? No, it's not a curse, and if it is a curse, what do you think? Because it's not a It's very enlightening. The curse is the illusion. Not not knowing and not understanding what it is that you're experiencing. That's where the anger comes from. You don't have it, you don't have it express it. And then it rarely comes out in a positive manner, and sometimes it comes out in the oddest humor. Yeah, I heard Erica Clark say that everybody grieves differently. Yes, they do. You know? But I know if my husband died, I doubt I'd be out showboat and throwing gifts to everyone. Meanwhile, making them pay to be there. I just heard some values You have to. You have to have tickets. You know, they have a space there. They don't have a living in the United States. You go into a state, and if they sold out of all the chairs, you can't go. That's it for a distraction because you're on the Epstein files, and then you go over to Charlie Kirk, and then back to the Epstein, Erica Kirk, and Epstein files, and then now back to aliens. I feel really bad for the ones who are getting caught in the crossfire. But it's like you gotta let the royals do their own fight out, right? And leave the fucking people out of it. And then when I first started, I was fucking hollering at the sky, like literally hollering at the sky. And it was like it was coming out of my mouth, like you know, you have a choice. You don't have to follow the asshole. You can always, you know, fess up. You know, start looking at things from an open eye. Unless you want to read into what you say about everything that's not right. Be big, bold, and brave. You know, be that meek. Do you know what meek is? It's not the ones that sit around and do nothing about it. Meek are the like the raccoons who've just been cornered, and now they see the truth. They know what the target is. They know what the problem is. And we're not talking about blowing it up in the sense of destroying land or people's homes or anything. I'm talking about the system itself. That's why they want to. That's why they keep war going because it keeps you locked into that on your seat, looking at the news, wondering what's happening now, who's getting wrong. Look at the numbers. Look at what they're doing with your homes, your land. Mostly, and first and foremost, what they're doing to your family members and to your family members, especially children. And just remember you were a child. I told my ex-husband this like earlier today when he said about the government having to make cuts so much where they should make public for money's first. You know, someone where for like 20 years or so, they've had to pay $10,000, $10,000 to $12,000 each year into income tax. If you had maybe 50,000 taxable income. But for about 20 years, they had to pay about between 10 and 12,000 a year. So I did the math. That's like $200,000 that they had to pay in income tax on $50,000 a year. When I sat and I sat and I was like, well, someone's lying here. Either the person that's saying about it or the government is lying. Right now, I'm a little iffy on both scenarios. In ways, I feel like this person, like, may say that they're retired, but they're actually not retired. That they're still on the payroll because of the vision I had. The vision I had was it was like the military had being an underground bunker being someone else. And I was laying on my back, put my legs over bed like that, lifted my eyes, my body lifted up like that. I said, got your cheek for a commander or something. And stood up. How's the handling going for you? Que se todavía you know, people will look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about handling? It's like when a human thinks they have a dog. So good. Like I said, I go spirit to spirit. So, if you're getting really freaking weird out by stuff, because it's spirit to spirit. And right now, like I'm looking in here, but I'm looking at two cameras. So the spirit is seeing the one on the other side. Maybe I'm not physically seeing, but spirit's seeing. And spirit sees it through every individual. So when I'm looking here, spirit is seeing you, but physically I'm seeing myself in both screens, and I'm experiencing. So I know how I look, and I look pretty control sometimes. But if you can't laugh at yourself, then you know how. Se le figure, nie su como se le figura. that's where he was talking about the disk. People said that Nikola Tesla said that it was shaped like a disc. So if you're talking about the mirror and it was rotating, so you were seeing. That's why you only see the same stuff. Because it's double-sided mirror, and as it moves, because the core is much see-through, so it can see out into space. So when the double-sided mirror moves, that's the reflection. See, fucker! Holy shit! That's why you only see the same thing. That would explain it takes that many days, I guess. Well, holy shit. That disc is your free energy. That's the coil. The earth is. That explains saying the earth is a new. Because it makes sense. The earth goes nowhere. So they can't get to the moon again because, they can't show you the going on the fucking earth. They're going, can they see the moon? No, hey. Spirits on the moon! Let's dance with somebody. Let's dance right now. It's like right in here. It's like the Grinch. When the Grinch got the happy thought. And his heart just went, boom, boom, boom. So that's really so it's like that's just in the middle. But I can see like why people would look at me the way they do. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna go because he's not trying to get me off now. But I wasn't gonna go off earlier anyways because it wasn't done. But you need to get a fire going. Uh, I've been on for 3 hours, somewhere around there. And I'm not going a lot forward, and some may think that, one way or another, I have to do it, but I just told you it was all your theories are all correct. And London Bridge is actually the bridge between the two ships. So with that being said, I'm sending you much love, light, and blessings, of very good health to anyone and everyone who will need to receive themselves. I want you all to be big, bold, brave, most importantly, yourself, your authentic self, that you will come to yourself, that you will come to others, and know that you have more strength than you can comprehend. Authenticity, it goes a long way. And you are going to trigger people, you are going to hurt people. But, hey, not saying be rude, but it's more of being to the point. Max husband told me before, sometimes you have to speak your language, and he's right. But nobody ever likes somebody to speak their language. So that's a part where, if you don't like the language you're speaking to, then you want to change the way you talk.